Oreos and job searchers have in common.
It sounds like the beginning of a bad joke.
It doesn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah.
We're actually talking about scammers who are working hard to steal your cash in an ever-changing job market. KIRO7's Jesse Jones investigates.
It pisses me off, to tell you the truth. It really makes me mad.
Misty Roberts is tired of being the internet's leading job candidate.
Yeah, I'm getting a little agitated, even explaining it.
Okay, so I'll explain it. Misty's getting flooded with job scams by text and email.
This is the actual link right here.
She doesn't know how anyone has seen her resume.
My resume hadn't been posted online since, I would say, 2009.
But they want her money.
When I scroll to the bottom, it asks me for bank information.
Misty's not looking for work, but has family who is.
People are desperate because they've got to feed their families, so I could definitely see people falling for it.
Last year, I think estimates were about $2 billion in recruiting scams.
Security experts like J. Michael Skiba say the scams are all coming down to one thing.
COVID.
TRT.
The red flags in Misty's case are great examples.
That was weird.
First, scammers lifted the business name of TRT Holdings. It's a real company that owns Omni Hotels and Resorts. Obviously, the legit business didn't send the fake job ad.
Yeah,
Then there's the proposed salary.
It's $5,000 a week for a virtual assistant.
What? $5,000? $5,000 a week? Well, then I'd like to give KIRO my virtual resignation because I'm going to be a virtual assistant for $5,000 a week. That's a joke. The problem is that posting is not. Next, Misty kept at it, asking the scammers questions. And she got no real answers.
Keep skipping over the portion that I've asked him. Where you located? Who's the human resources person I need to talk to?
One approach scammers are using to get to their victims is called the Oreo. You start with something good, put something bad in the middle, and then you end on something good. Problem is, people are eating it up.
They might start off and say, hey, you beat out 300 different candidates for this position, but we just need a small application fee. But first-year salary is going to average, 6 figures. So that kind of bad thing in the middle where they're asking for something gets lost because that candidate feels really good about this job.
I went to the...
So why is Misty so invested? She's working, helping consumers repair their credit. She understands the real cost of handing your information to thieves.
It takes years and years to clear that up on credit reports. And people need to be aware of the fact that this is happening every day, probably every minute.
Bottom line, you don't need to send your banking information to get a job. It's a scam. Here's another one. If the scammer sends you a check, it's most likely fake, and you'll be part of a transaction that you don't want to be, where you end up getting hurt. Come on now. There are lots of jobs out there. That means there's a lot of scammers. In Seattle, Jesse Jones, KIRO7 News.
And another bottom line, Jesse, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here at KIRO7, no matter your bad jokes.